Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Dahlia Monet. So in today's video, I'll be going over 4 different things that you need to do to avoid dating toxic men. So we're just going to jump right into it. Number 1, stop entertaining unqualified candidates. And I'll go over exactly what makes someone unqualified and different things you should look out for later in the video. But first and foremost, I know y'all probably heard the quote, "You are what you attract." I don't like this quote at all, and I do not think that is accurate, because literally a nasty fly will try to go and land on some dog poop and then try to come over and land on your nice juicy steak when you're at a restaurant eating outside. Like, they don't discriminate. And I'm not trying to compare men to flies. At the end of the day, it's like, shooters gonna shoot. They're gonna go after what looks good, you know, what's attractive to them. So if a no good guy finds you attractive, he's going to shoot his shot. And it's not a reflection of who you are as a woman and how good of a woman you are. A better quote would be, "You are not what you attract, but you are what you entertain." Like, who we end up deciding to give the time of day is a reflection of where we're at mentally and how we view ourselves and our self-worth. Like, we often end up putting up with different men and complaining about how they treat us, but when we really think about it, these said men never even deserve to be in our space in the first place. But often we don't recognize it because we're actually struggling with low self-esteem. And honestly, the problem is often not the people. The problem is the position that we allow ourselves to be put into. Like, we can play the blame game all day, but you can only be so mad if someone has clearly shown you that they're toxic, yet you're still deciding to keep them in your life for whatever reason, whether it's loneliness, low self-esteem, what have you. But we have to start taking more responsibility for the situations that we end up in with toxic men. And I'm not excusing their behavior at all, but at the end of the day, the only person that we can control is ourselves. Like, you cannot control a grown man. So you need to stop subjecting yourself to poor treatment and stop giving people who are unwilling to meet your standards the time of day. Like, yes, in a perfect world, everyone would be kind and treat us like a queen automatically, but unfortunately, that's not reality. So it's our responsibility to be more intentional about who we're allowing into our life. Like, we have to be more careful, because if you continue to subject yourself to these toxic men, it really starts to mess with you mentally and can really mess with your self-esteem. You start to think that you're not good enough, you know, that you deserve this type of treatment, and this is as good as it gets, which is all false. Okay, so we have to stop this vicious cycle of pain, this vicious cycle of settling. Like, we can do better. I know you guys can. I've had to learn this lesson myself, but it takes the time. You have to take the time to really just be intentional. All right, guys, so number 2. You need to set standards and actually stick to them. Because what ends up happening, unfortunately, is when you've been hurt in the past and experienced disappointment after disappointment, you start to think to yourself like, are my standards even realistic? Am I doing too much? And that results in you subconsciously lowering your standards, and you stop expecting as much and requiring as much out of men. And that's what results in you dating and, you know, entertaining these unqualified men in the first place. So the key is enforcing your standards. Like, do not let up just because these few people are not willing, you know, to rise to the occasion. Like I said in past videos, if you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. If you don't require anything out of anyone, they're not going to show up. Like, people are always going to want to take the easy route. They're just going to expect you to take them, you know, accept them as they are, bad habits and all, and consideration and all. Like, no, we're not doing that. And what you have to understand is, like, even if you're a good person, like, think about yourself. It still takes work to actively treat someone well, to be considerate of their needs. So imagine if someone doesn't have good intentions. Like, if you're not requiring respect and making them reciprocate what you're putting out, they're not going to do it. If a man really wants to be a part of your life, he will meet the standards that you enforce. You should never, ever, ever lower your standards in fear of losing a man. Like, yeah, if you lower your standards, you may keep the man, but at what cost? Like, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're only hurting yourself in the process. Like, enforcing your standards are a form of self-love. Loving yourself and making sure your needs are met should not end just because a man has entered the equation. It's more respectable to be a woman who has unwavering high standards than to be someone who claims to have standards but then folds as soon as a guy threatens to walk away or says that he's not willing to meet them. Like, if you're going to have your standards, you need to stand by them. And if they're not willing to rise to the occasion, then they can really just get lost. And I'm not saying have all these crazy unrealistic standards and just expect people to fall in line. So I'm going to give you an example of some realistic and fair standards. Number 1, being a good communicator. They should not be ignoring you just because they're upset. They need to be able to articulate like an adult and tell you what the problem is. 2, being kind even when they're angry. They should not be yelling at you, talking over you, cussing you out. I don't know who needs to hear that, but being cussed out by your partner is not normal. You should not be cussing them out either. Like, that's toxic. That is not a healthy relationship. Number 3, waiting to have sex till marriage. If you know you want to wait till marriage to have sex, that is a standard to have. That's a good standard to have. Like, you don't have to put out in fear of a man leaving. If he can't get with it, that's fine. Let him go. Don't jeopardize your relationship with God just to keep a man. Like, a man that God sends you is never going to steer you further away from him. Always remember that. Number 4, him having a good relationship with alcohol. Like, not abusing alcohol, not abusing drugs. If you know you don't excessively drink or do drugs, it's not too much to expect someone to not drink or not do drugs. Like, it's okay to have that standard. Like, I know personally, I'm not dating one that smokes weed. Like, that's just a preference of mine. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to smell it. It's okay. Just because it's popular, a lot of people do it, doesn't mean you have to accept it. And number 5, it can be little things like them being romantic. I know me personally, I want to feel special in my relationship. So that's a requirement of mine. I need them to be romantic. I like, you know, feeling appreciated. So of course, all these are going to be tailored to you and your personal needs, but these are just some examples for you. But make sure that you're actually doing and exemplifying what you're requiring out your partner. That's the key. Like, don't be a hypocrite. Okay, guys, number 3, pay attention to what they say and what they do. I know when you first meet somebody, it's super exciting, especially if you're really attracted to them, but it's important to be able to step out of la-la land, actually look at the type of man that's in front of you. Like, the signs are almost always there. We just have to make the conscious decision to actually pay attention and take things slow so we can actually see, you know, what type of person they are. Like, the Holy Spirit will honestly try to help us and try to reveal this type of person that you need to be with. But if you're constantly on the phone with them, constantly laid up with them, you're not gonna have no clear mind. Don't be able to discern what God is trying to tell you. Like, we have to be able to make the conscious decision to wake up, smell the roses, I know it's hard, and see if this is a man of true character. Like, we have to believe people when they show us who they are, so we have to actually be paying attention to their actions and making sure they're aligning with their words as well. So to help you guys identify potential red flags, I'm going to give you some examples of different things you should be paying attention to determine if someone has toxic tendencies or to determine if they are an unqualified candidate. So it's a good amount, so I'm actually going to read them off. So number 1, their temperament, especially when they're mad or irritated. Like I said before, are they getting loud? Are they getting belligerent? Number 2, how did they react when you raise a concern about something that they did? Do they try to gaslight you or make you seem like you're crazy instead of actually taking accountability for what they did? Number 3, how do they treat, you know, wait staff or janitors? Do they treat them the same as they would a CEO, or do they try to make them feel, you know, inferior or be rude to them? Number 4, like I said before, are they self-medicating? Are they abusing alcohol? Do they do drugs because they're actually trying to numb some pain when they actually should be in therapy? Number 5, are they able to sustain platonic or familiar relationships? They don't have any friends and they're beefing with all their family, yet y'all relationship's going to be the first healthy relationship in their life. Is actually going to work? Not that likely, sis. Number 6, do they litter or leave trash behind? I personally cannot stand people that litter. If you litter, do better. Like, it just shows that they're entitled. Like, they're like, oh, someone's gonna pick it up. Like, no, you shouldn't have been dropping the trash in the first place. Number 7, are they reckless? Are they driving drunk? Do they speed in the car, like, for no reason? Like, I don't know why guys think that's cute. Like, as soon as you get in the car with them and try to hit the gas to flex, like, you're not turning me on, you're scaring me. Number 8, they have no ambition or they're lazy. So, like I said, these are just some things to consider, you know, when trying to vet potential partners and see if they truly do have some toxic tendencies that, you know, you're not going to want to deal with in a relationship. So just food for thought, ladies. All right, guys. So number 4, this one is the most important. Fall in love with yourself first. Self-love is the foundation for healthy relationships and dating. Because believe it or not, a lot of guys can spot an insecure woman from miles away, just based off how we might carry ourselves, what we may say. And especially if they're toxic, they'll try to use that to their advantage to get what they want from you. So you have to be really cognizant, you know, about making sure you're doing your work now and healing and being sure of yourself before you're going out there and dating. Because if you don't recognize your value, you're not going to prioritize protecting yourself from problematic people. And I really encourage you to start, you know, actively trying to figure out what your needs are now and what you require out of a relationship. Because when you're actively trying to figure that out when you're dating, it can be really dangerous territory, especially if you encounter a manipulator who can realize and recognize that you're not 100% sure of yourself yet, and they may try to, you know, monopolize on the situation and use that to their advantage. So in conclusion, guys, the first step to attracting better men and healthy relationships is loving yourself. Like, you can't expect someone to treat you better and love you more than you would yourself. Like, it all starts within. And remember, you're going to attract all different kinds of people in this life, but who you entertain is what matters in the end. And also, you have to know that good men do exist. Like, you don't have to settle for mediocre treatment. And once you actually let go of these toxic people, you're going to free up some mental capacity and overall time to actually get to know these good men that are out there and actually entertain those men, qualified candidates. So I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. Please be sure to share it with someone that you feel like needs it. Post it to your social media and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps, you know, small YouTubers like me so more people can find my content. And make sure you hit the subscribe button, of course, you know, because more content on the way. So yeah, I love y'all so much. I appreciate the support and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace and blessings. Bye.